All right, Carl, we're up. This sounds good.
Thank you, Carl.
Easy. We made it, Leon.
It's been a long time.
What do you think of the set?
Fantastic. Fantastic. I looked around and it took my breath away. It really did. I know we've talked about it many a times, but to see it in reality is really, really beautiful. To know you've worked so hard for it, it's great. I mean, the setup is. I don't think I've ever had such high quality stuff in front of me. And a mic. I don't think I deserve it, mate.
No, it's pretty crazy. And it's just downstairs for me,
Yeah.
which is even cooler, and which makes it so much more accessible. We can just do this whenever we need to.
Yeah.
And okay, so you were one of the first people I told about this sort of about this whole journey that I'm on right now with this podcast thing. What did you think the set was going to look like? Did we impress? Is it better than you thought? Worse than you thought? About on par for what you thought I was going to do?
I immediately hoped it wasn't going to be on your couch or something. I've seen some podcast clips online and I've seen some horrible ones, and I hoped there was going to, but always I knew, like, I know, for example, you like Joe Rogan, so I was looking for some of those influences and I knew there was going to be a TV setup or one of those kinds. I didn't expect it to be like this, to be honest. I'm quite blown away. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, just frothing, really.
Yeah, no. It was just like, it was a slow process. And once we figured out, like, we needed this, then we needed that. And then, like, we could have set it up like just the basics and like really stripped it back, been really cheap. But I think the extra investments we made in the set are going to go a long way and make it easier for us to like have a good conversation, pull things up, manage the audio, manage the cameras, and not have to think about it. Like, investing early is going to make it easier later, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But let's get into it. I got some stuff written down, but we're just going to riff and sort things out.
Yeah.
We met through the BAC program, and I think the BAC program is kind of like it's all about being a balanced individual, and I think you manage that really well. I think there's kind of like 3 spheres that you have to master to be a balanced person: professional, physical, and social. I think you're really good at managing all 3. And most people are really academic, really professional about their career, but they don't go to the gym, they don't work out, they don't play sport. And, they got a little social life, but nothing crazy. Dude, you seem to have everything covered. And you have since I've known you.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you make it happen? How do you find the time?
Thank you. Well, I mean, you've listed those 3 there, and straight away in my head, how I've lived my life, I think I personally have 3 very similar. I think mind, body, and spirit. And so those are all things that I try to cultivate in everything that I do. And it's funny how that what you perceived is kind of something that I've taken time and I've tried to live out, really. Time, I think, is a big pressure in it, but I think I generally like being a holistic individual. I like finding balance, and I just like doing so many things. I think there's so much to life and so much beauty, as we often speak about. And there's just so many great things to do that is it a shame to almost just be guns ahoy down one avenue of life, which I totally respect, but I don't think personally it's for me. And I found that out a while ago, that I kind of do like being a balanced individual. And I like doing so many things. And to that end, balance does become a factor of it. I think that like that mantra that a lot of people speak about, it's not something I really subscribe to, but a work hard, play hard kind of archetype. I think very much remaining balanced in your life is important to me. And there's so much to it. I mean, mind, body, spirit. I think professionalism is an interesting one. I think I've never really regarded myself as super professional.
When I say professional, I'm just talking about like the academic, the career sphere, but like you are professional. I think, like, I don't think you're necessarily unprofessional.
I play dress up.
Yeah. Like, dude, you're telling me. I look crazy in that suit.
Yeah.
But like, no, like what was that moment you said a couple of years ago that you kind of discovered this within yourself, that you wanted to be a balanced person? What brought you to that realization?
I can't say that it was a particular moment in time, to be honest. I think it was more of a gradual thing. I think I've always had different avenues in life that I like expressing myself, and also that I find joy in doing. I think doing one thing, I kind of get bogged down in it. I don't necessarily get bored in it, but it doesn't let me kind of express myself or I don't feel as valuable with the time I'm taking and spending up if I was to pursue only one thing wholeheartedly and really exclusively and do nothing else. And so in that respect, I think I've always kind of done a bit of everything. I've always liked to do a lot of exercise and be fit and healthy, but then in that sense, I've always liked to challenge my mind and work hard and I guess adapt the professional lens, as you call it. And so I think it very much does come from a state of nurture, I'd say, through being raised. I think being young, my parents were, I was very blessed to just be thrown into doing a lot of things. And I think doing that as a kid then that kind of stays with you and you transfer that into adulthood. And when you find out that you have control over your actions and you can really, the ball's in your court to do things that you want to do, naturally I was kind of maintaining a balance and doing all the things that I like to do, and finding new things to do.
Exactly. Being curious when you're young translates to having a lot of hobbies when you're older, which is, a form of fulfillment for sure. I think, I talk about these three spheres, like social, professional, and then physical too. I think there's kind of a fourth one as well that you kind of touched on with this mind, body, soul kind of thought project. It's spiritual, there's that spiritual, like, mental health, discipline, your whole mentality about how you go about life. That fourth sphere kind of governs how you live the rest of the other three. And so I know faith is a big part of who you are, and family too. You talked about a lot of things when you were young, doing a lot of things when you were young. What are some of like the things that when you were young your family really instilled in you, whether that be spiritual things or just your own moral compass? What was at stake when you were younger?
I think we were always an active family. I was always an active child. My family, school holidays, instead of having to look after me, they were like, we want a day off, so let's send him to a tennis camp or something. Let's take him to a football camp. Good. Oh, the tennis camps were so fun. Oh my God. I haven't played tennis since, really. And I really want to. I know they got the courts down here.
Bring them back. We should go do a tennis camp.
We have to. But they're so fun. It's probably the last time I can remember I played tennis. But they were fun, and it'd always be on when the Australian Open was on, and you'd go home and watch it. But stuff like that, like, I don't know, like just anything physical, anything outside. Luckily, where we used to live was near a really big running track. And so a lot of the agency I had when I was younger was just being allowed to, just you go out for a run.
Go and
I
explore.
love it. Yeah, just go run around the neighborhood, do that big running track. And those kind of things always instilled in me that kind of sense of kind of an individualism, but also a sense of just getting out there and going doing your thing. It wasn't that I couldn't focus, but I'd sit there doing my schoolwork and I couldn't wait to get outside and muck around or just to go do something else. And so that's always been a part of me. I think that was very hammered in from my parents. I think my mum used to do a lot of running, my dad a lot of cycling and sport. So yeah, definitely, and it was something all my family has done, my brother and sister. So definitely a big part of me, and it's fun to keep up. I mean, it is great fun. Like those tennis camps, best time ever. The friends you'd meet for one day and then never see again.
Never see again. Dude, remember playing like Pac-Man on the lines of the tennis court? Oh my goodness. There's no more fun to be had than that. Yeah. That was amazing. Speaking of sports and speaking about what you currently do, a sport that is underappreciated and definitely not very big here in Australia, water polo. And you've been playing water polo the 5 years that I've known you. When did you start playing? How'd you get into it?
I started playing in school. My avenue in was I was a swimmer, and so I did a lot of swimming when I was young, and it gets to a summer sport, and I was playing a lot of cricket, and it was long days, but then as soon as they gave me the option to play water polo, I was like, look, it's summertime. I can get in the water. I don't have to stand in the field for a day, just waiting under the high ball with a flimsy hat on. So naturally I took it up, and I was all right at it. I'd never really played it. I still don't really know the rules, to be honest. I only ever played through school, never played club or anything until after school to take its place, really. But it is a very interesting sport. Funny you should say, it doesn't seem like a lot of people play it in Australia. We're a good sporting nation at water polo. We're very competitive. It's very much an Eastern European sport. Obviously, America very good at it. Japan are very interestingly very good at it. But it's a sport we do pretty well in Australia, and it gets pretty intense at these levels. My brother, for one, is very, very good. And so he's now eclipsed me, which is both embarrassing. But as an elder brother, you'd love to see that from your younger sibling. So it's really awesome supporting him. So he's probably best equipped to speak about it more than I am. But it's a very interesting sport. I think it's a beautiful sport where it blends a really roughness and like a rugby-esque rough with just really skillfulness and the ability to have that cardio and to play a game so rough, but then to have the skill to balance the ball in your hand, to make some passes, to remain composed when there's water and you're getting splashed down. It is a very interesting sport, almost like no other. It's very much a blend between a rugby and a five-a-side football and a European handball into one. It's a very hard sport to explain. It's a interesting sport to watch. It's a very entertaining sport to watch if you don't know the rules.
If you don't know what's going on, it's
yeah.
hard to grasp like the level of technique,
Yeah.
what's going on under the water. One thing that, you know, people don't know about is how rough it is.
Yeah.
And there's been like these stories about like these bloodbaths between teams. Have you ever dealt with anything like that? Like being, you know, held under, or nails underneath the water, or a kicking, punching underneath?
Yeah, nails.
Anything like that?
You get a
Nails?
lot of the nails. I've had to go to work the next day with a black eye, and people being like, "How'd that happen?" And it's just a stray elbow and something that
Yeah,
just happens.
Classic.
Something I've appreciated of water polo very late is now that I've kind of slowed down my swimming and obviously not as fit as I used to be and just playing socially now with friends. The first couple games of the season, you actually feel like you're going to die. You get some guy holds you under and you're like, this is it, man. And it is horrible.
It's over.
It is so tiring. Oh my God, you do a couple laps and you're like, get me out, sub me out. It is tiring and it almost detracts from the fun, but I guess that's why it's such a beautiful sport. It's really, you earn the fun times with it. But it is very tough.
No, that's like, it is awesome to know that people are still out there playing water polo, because you see it at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And you're just like, where is the passion, like from the grounds up, like the local teams? And so it's good that they, like, you know, there are local teams, there are comps where you can just play socially, you can play at a club level, school level. It's good that we're keeping it alive, because as you said, we're not necessarily a bad water polo nation. We're pretty good. It's just that nobody plays. I only know you that plays water polo.
Yeah.
That's it. So
I think something interesting to that point is that one of the things I love most about it, I play in a mixed division. And so I guess for our like age group at a men's above the age of 18, really, you get busted into a men's division and there's about 7 leagues. So the top league is like your equivalent of A League. It's a very small pool. And then so you got the division M's, they call it, like 1, 2, and 3. And that's your kind of top half. And so like the people there would be training a lot, doing lots of sessions. They take it very seriously. The top league will travel around Australia, lots of money involved, not really too much money involved in, but a lot of funding needed to travel them around. And it's taken very seriously and it's open to all ages. But then you get to the leagues where I play in, which is 4s down to 7s, and it's open to all age groups. The annoying thing is that you'll have 16-year-olds come in and fill in, and they'll just swim circles around you, and you're like,
They'll be
come
cracked.
on, mate. Yeah, they finished their day from school, you know, they're full of energy, and you're like, come on, bro. No way. But conversely, the best part of it is that you'll have quite old people. Water polo is a sport where it's quite easy on the muscles. And so you'll have people who are like 40, 50, sometimes even 60, and they'll be playing and still having fun. And these are often the guys that are really good. Like they were good back in the day and they love it. And they're the hardest ones to come
the
up
old
against.
heads of water polo coming to get you.
Great, bro. They'll pull you down. They'll do some really interesting moves that you're like, damn, like you have no idea. But like it's beautiful that like so many age groups can play in a single team. It's really fun and it brings together a really nice community.
Yeah, sports like that where, you know, they're longevity based sports, they're easy on the joints, there's not a lot of, you know, like crazy movements going on, you know, like even golf. You hate golf. You've never swung a golf club.
I'm happy to talk about it. I'm happy to clearly, yeah. I do hate golf.
Fair. It is, I have a love-hate relationship with golf for sure. And if I'm playing well, it's love. And if I'm playing shit, it's hate. It's like, it really sucks. Especially when you're first getting back into golf.
Yeah.
Like, if you're trying to learn golf, it's one of those things where, you know, like the first couple of times you go out, it's so not enjoyable that you're just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Because but then once you get to a certain stage and you're competitive with your friends and you're all at a similar level and you can, you know, you can chip on the green now, you can hit a drive straight, you can make that putt and you get better and better and better. It's like an addiction. It just takes you and runs, you know. But while we're young, there's no need to necessarily, like water polo is a great sport. I'm not saying like, you know, sports that don't involve contact we shouldn't be doing. But while we're young, there's no need to be playing golf. You know, do some martial arts, do some water polo. You know, play soccer, do what you need to do. You played a lot of cricket as a kid too, hey?
I played a bit, only a couple of years. Very much a backyard cricket, born and raised though. That's you get.
Do you have like a best innings, like a club innings or something like that you remember, or even like a, you know, best bowling stats or something like that? A day where you were on.
Not to memory, but I feel like the ones that come to mind are never the ones in a game. They're always your backyard cricket ones where you can never get out, I feel. We had, and it's on YouTube, the boys in my area, we made a whole backyard cricket series. And
Bro, can Carl
it's
pull
still
this
on,
up? Can we pull this up?
You can probably pull it
Alright,
up.
pull up some
I
YouTube,
think it's
Carl.
called the Inner West Ashes.
Okay.
And it is insane. You're going to see me get out some pretty awesome ways.
Carl, I
But,
need you to pull up the Inner West Ashes on YouTube for us.
And it got heated for these days. We do the anthems before the game and we'd all video it, upload it on YouTube. And it's a really great time capsule. And the best bit is that the way it was set up, it's like you call your own run, so it's in a garage, but you'd tape one half of the ball, but you'd both tape both sides, but one half would have a lot more tape on it.
Okay.
So the ball would be hooping, it'd be swinging.
This thing would be moving around.
And it'd be in the garage, and it was a back alleyway, so it was a one-way street. At the back of the garage would open it up to, and you'd stand across the road about 10 meters away in the slips cordon because the ball would carry that much and zing, and you get the best slips catches. So I think
That
probably
thing would
my
be
best.
zinging around.
I would be, and there'd be like 3-4 people in there, and
We got before Leslie made us pack up.
oh yeah, and Leslie's a famous character.
Pull it up, Carl. I
So
wanna see it on the screen.
behind the street where we'd be playing cricket, there's a primary school.
Okay.
And we'd always be doing this during like school holidays.
Mm.
And sometimes the primary school would still be on. So we'd be like, they'd still be at school. And so we'd
Yeah.
be making noise. We'd have to jump over and grab the cricket ball as you do. But Leslie was the the principal there.
Yeah.
She wasn't too happy with us playing. You know, like I guess we had cameras that never pointed towards the school.
Understood.
But she wasn't a fan of us. And so many a time she'd voice her concerns. And at one time it got pretty like she's leaving the school, come up to us telling us to stop playing. But naturally, we're not going to stop playing. Come on, we're in the middle of an Ashes series, you know. You're trying to defend the lead. You're on the roll. Yeah, you don't want to stop.
Oh my! Is this it?
This is it. Yeah, the Lithgow Street Crew Ground.
Wow, Russell. Oh wow, versus 5 Doc. This
Yeah.
is fantastic.
And so I was part of the Russell Lee team.
All right.
And it was fantastic.
Let's have a look at some of this real quick. Hold on, maybe get a full screen, Carl. Get it full screen. I want to see it on the big screen.
the production quality was insane. Matthew
This is
Harrington,
awesome.
thank you so much.
Oh, hold on. Where'd she get? There we go. Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, how about that one?
It's awesome. He's dressed up. He's in full whites.
Oh, straight back at the house. That's
That's a
good.
grab.
Got him. Oh, this is elite.
That's fantastic. That's what it's all about. That's what
That
cricket
is what it's all
That's
about.
Australian, yeah.
Some calls.
Look at the
That's
production
I know,
value
the
on
production
this.
value is crazy.
Which one of your friends
Carl, you gotta
made
be
this?
taking notes.
Yeah.
Matthew Harrington, sensational guy, and full credit to him. I mean, like it's so great to have a time capsule to look back on.
Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. So how old were you when this was happening? 2014, we were in year 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were 12. Wow. Perfect time
Yeah.
for some backyard cricket.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, you lifelong friends, some of
Yeah.
the best memories you ever have.
Yeah.
Is he going through the teams here?
Yeah, well, he's going. This is where we live. He's showing us where we live. We're getting my eye pulled.
This is absolutely. I never knew this. I known you for 5.
I know. Yeah. How fantastic is
Hold
this?
on, let's have a little
Ashes
listen.
Test match right here at Lithgow Street. Cricket game played between Russell Lee and 5 Doc. The second series of this test, with Russell Lee looking to retain the urn and
He's got a blazer
5
on.
Doc, of
He does.
course, looking
Very smart.
to return it, even though they've never got it before. Here with me is Jack O'Halloran. How are you this
Yeah,
morning,
it's a
Jack?
great morning today. Forecast for rain, but it's looking pretty clear.
How long is this video? I'll just,
Yeah, it goes
I
for
know
a
it
while.
goes for a
Hey,
while.
we could see it for a while.
It's going to be an
Is there-
absolute terrific day
Dude,
of Test cricket.
That's fantastic.
Right
we
now,
can
let's
watch.
go
We can
out
watch this all
We
day.
can see it.
But we should
Yeah.
move on. We should move on.
But
Is
fantastic.
there any, dude? Is this like a one-time project? Like this went on for like a year, and that was. Did you do?
We
more of
got one
these?
day internationals. We got like you can see us like the first test match, the first
Can-
series.
if
you
we
can
hit
see the
this
second.
channel, if we hit this channel, we'll be
Yeah.
able to see all this.
I don't know what's going to be on that channel, but I guess there'd be some videos. There's maybe some highlights.
Let's have a look.
There's lots of different stuff.
Wow, this is fantastic. What an amazing time capture.
I mean,
too.
like if you would put in like this video here, the 2-minute one. I mean, like there's lots of different ones. Yeah.
You know that 6 minutes and 47 seconds
Yeah,
to
yeah.
tape a cricket ball. That thing would have been
Swing of the
swinging
month, mate.
around.
Bella caught Rebecca, mate.
Oh, yeah, wow. Oh, that's fantastic. It's such a good time capsule.
Oh, it
and I
is.
think, one of the things about this podcast is going to be a great time capsule,
Yeah.
not just for a specific thing like, we're playing cricket in our backyard, but just for our personalities at this age.
Yeah.
Like I just turned 23 the other day. When I'm 30, looking back on how I am today, my interests, how I talked, who my friends were, all that's going to be super interesting in a little while.
Yeah.
So yeah, like this, and to give someone kind of the gift of a time capsule
Yeah.
too is really nice.
Yeah.
And like it's just awesome.
Yeah, no, that's why it's such a pleasure for me to really be on this. And I know so many conversations we've had, and I think it's mutual going both ways, but very much the things we've talked about. I feel like you've spoken to me about things that's inspired me to do things and to go live it out. And so it's fantastic to have it down. and like as you said, like a time capsule, a little proof to look back on and smile one day. So it's fantastic to have. It really is.
No, and it's good. It's honestly a privilege to have you on the second
Yeah.
ever episode because it's so early. You're one of my best friends. It's just it makes a lot of sense to have you on early and just do what needs to be done.
I
You
know.
know,
I'm
we have
not-
such
yeah.
we have such good chats, such good connection. We like so many like of the same sort of things, and even when we disagree, I feel like it's entertaining and like intellectual
Yeah.
conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, of course. And like, I can't believe I'm the second episode. I think in that sense, I feel like I have to help the listeners find out a bit more about you, mate. I think a couple quick fire questions to learn more about Ethan.
Dude, fire away. I'm an open book.
First of which, your name, Ethan. How did your family come to land on that?
Oh,
And this is funny. I'm saying I know the
You
answers.
set
Here. I
me
know
up
the answers
here,
here.
but this is a good one. So my dad originally wanted to call me Lincoln. Lincoln is my middle name,
Yeah.
right? So my name's Ethan Lincoln Harry, and my dad was really pushing for Lincoln hard. He really wanted Lincoln. Don't necessarily know why, but he just loved it, right? My mum was over her dead body was she
Yeah.
gonna name me Lincoln? No way, right? So, but my mum can't come up with a different name,
Yeah.
and so she's literally sitting in the hospital 2-3 days out from having me, and Mission Impossible is on the TV.
Yeah.
And she's watching Mission Impossible, and Ethan Hunt comes on, and she's like, "Ethan, I'm gonna call him Ethan. Ethan Harry. Ethan Hunt. That's gonna work. Ethan." So here I am, Ethan
Yeah.
Harry, and this is one that you don't know. My brother's middle name is Hunter.
Wow.
Yeah, so dude, Mission Impossible's in my
That's
veins. It's in my
insane.
name.
Oh my God.
So yeah. I've got like a little bit of Tom Cruise in me, I
Hmm.
guess, to some extent. And honestly, I just went and saw the latest one
Yeah.
with my as a family for my birthday. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun. Like just a good family event. We haven't been in the cinemas, and who goes to cinemas anymore?
I know.
But we haven't been in cinemas in 4 or 5 years. And I was like, listen. Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
my birthday. This makes sense.
Hmm.
It's probably the last one, maybe the last one. And I didn't mind it. They always going crazy overboard with the stunts these
Oh,
days.
yeah,
though.
yeah.
Like,
But he
I
does
feel-
it himself.
I know he's cracked. I don't know
Yeah, yeah.
how he does it. He's insane. But I feel like every single movie they just try and make it
Yeah.
as like just way more insane. Like this one, I think the last one, if the last one was like it was a 10 out of 10 in terms of like just the amount of stunts, how high risk they
Yeah.
were, like just the like sheer volume of crazy stuff. This one's double that.
Yeah.
Like every single scene had like a do or die crazy scene with a silly stunt. It was like
Yeah.
it was almost too much to keep track of. He's like, this is almost too unbelievable, but
Yeah.
it's still alive.
Yeah. I mean, it's underrated part of Hollywood. Like, there's a lot of nothingness and airy fairiness that goes around in Hollywood. But it's one guy's job to drive a car and slam it against the wall, and he gets paid for that, and he loves doing it.
Dude, you're right. When I was younger, I actually did this thing called stunt gym, and I trained like parkour and like backflips and like freestyling and all this crazy stuff.
Wow.
And a lot of them like wanted to go into Hollywood or wanted to do movies and do like stunts and things.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that, which was crazy. I only really wanted to do it because I just was obsessed with like calisthenics and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and doing like flips and like parkour. I was like in year 7, year 8, and oh my goodness, doing
As a
a
young
little
kid, a
parkour,
young
doing a
man.
little flip.
Yeah.
When you're 14,
I mean, like every young kid, I feel like went to one of those gyms, like those gymnastics places, and you get to do some flips into the ball
Oh,
pit and like
boy.
muck around and do all those kind of stuff. It's what you live for. It's the best thing.
It
ever.
is the best. Oh,
Yeah.
you'd go to a birthday party at a gymnasium that have pizza and a rope swing into
All
the
day.
into the foam cube things. Oh, dude, sometimes you get like, the fat kid in your class would
Yeah.
be drowning in the pool.
They're hard to get out of.
They're hard
They're
to get out. If someone doesn't have enough like cardiovascular capacity to drag themselves out of the pit, they'll get lost in there forever. Dude, what was like, speaking of birthday parties, one thing, like one bit of lore that's awesome is you won my 21st birthday drinking challenge.
I did, yeah.
And it's something that you should hold your head high about.
Oh, should I?
You were competing against some solid competitors in Noah.
Mm.
In Noah, who else were you competing with him really? And you won the bottle of American honey. You blew highest on the breathalyzer.
Yeah.
What? And
It's concerning. It's concerning. I mean, like I blew that breathalyzer probably like 4 hours after I stopped drinking it. It was a pretty high amount. So I'm kind of happy I didn't blow it up before. I think it was just a testament to the day. Really, I think I went out to do it. It's kind of like when you're batting and taking innings. You don't go out there trying to make 100. You're out there focused about getting off the mark first, getting your first boundary, all those things. I was just having fun, like drinking with the boys. It was a really nice birthday. And then next thing you know, I'm getting awarded this prize because the reason was I'd no intention of winning the bowling prize. I'm pretty coordinated, but I wasn't going to win the bowling prize. Like,
FYI, for my birthday
Yeah.
on my 21st, we did this competition, and it was you had to drink as many standards as you could, because each standard would be worth 3 points, and every 3 points, all those points would be added to your bowling score, which happens at the end of the night. So we started at my house. Everyone had a bunch of drinks. You would count your drinks on your little phone or whatever, and then you'd get in plus your bowling score. That'd be your score.
Yeah.
And you ended up. I think that we had teams.
Yeah, it was
and
teams, yeah.
Whose team won? It was Joey's team. Was it like who else was? in
Certainly
that
wasn't
team?
my team.
It wasn't your team.
that's
but
why I
you
pursued that individual
ended
prize.
up
I was
having,
like, our team's not going to win this bowling challenge.
but you ended up having the most drinks, which was really the most coveted, and you ended up winning the bottle of honey as well, which
It
was the most
depends what you
coveted
drink.
position. Speaking of 21st season is behind us now. We've gone through it, and reflecting on that, what was the best 21st you went to? Was it your own? Was it that one when we had the competition? Something left of field that you didn't even think was going to be good?
Very much left of field, I think, is my answer. 21st season is very tiring. It's obviously really nice, but it is tiring. I mean, like sometimes, like
It's back to
you can
back every
you can just have-
weekend.
like there might just be a weekend where you have a couple on, and it's a lot. I think the best is quite clear in my mind, and it was a friend who I'm good friends with. I don't really hang out with him too much outside of school, but in school quite close, and we've always remained a bit close. And he's one of those people where when you meet him, you have no problem speaking to him. Like it's one of those friends where although you might see him not see them often, like go out to coffee with him or catch up with him for a beer, and you hit it off straight away. And so I was invited to his birthday, and it was kind of like a Sunday afternoon one. And so it was very far away. So went there by myself and arrived. And the thing I liked most about it was it was a really nice family event. And so I got to meet his whole family. There was probably only about 10, 12 of us guys from school,
Wow.
and then his whole extended family. And it was really, really beautiful. I mean, like it's a true testament to his character. And I think the 21st was very much a reflection of him. It was an example of someone doing something where they could have just had a normal 21st, but he chose to do it in a way that really reflects him. And to be invited into that world and to be part of it was really, really special. And that was by far the best. I mean, like the speeches that his family made to him. I mean, like they had like young cousins who were like 6, 7 years old doing little speeches to him because they adore him. It's his 21st.
That's
They're like big brother. And it was like actually like tears brought to my eyes. Like it was a beautiful day. It was a nice winter's like Sunday afternoon, like a very nice afternoon barbecue. It was just beautiful. And so that is by far between my favorite.
That is beautiful. That
It
I
is.
can
Yeah,
even
yeah.
tell by the way that you're talking about it. You're like reflecting on it,
Yeah.
and it brings you back.
Oh yeah.
That's powerful. I think that kind of reminds me. The way you were describing that reminds me of Colleen's birthday. Like
Yeah.
her party, like very family orientated, very close, tight knit community. Just absolutely fantastic 21st. And as you said, the speeches speak so much to people's
Yeah.
character. When friends, family, loved ones
Yeah.
get up time after time after time, and you hear the same thing. It's true, and and that's when really special people get their due, because most of the time those people we just take them for granted. But that's that one chance that you have to really repay them and go, today's about you,
Yeah.
honoring you. And it's so good that your friend was able to kind of be in his 21st, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because and it reflects him, it was part of his character, instead of just hosting it at some place like this. And it doesn't feel like you, it doesn't have your vibe. If you're able to make it your own party and make it your own thing, that's what's special.
Yeah, I think whenever you're invited into someone's world that they hold dear to them, even if it's, for example, a book they really like and they have the kindness to offer it to you and say, would you like to read this? I think getting invited into someone's space like that, or into someone's passions, into something that they really enjoy, that is a part of them, is really, really beautiful. And I think it's a great testament to a friendship, but it's also a great testament to just the gratitude and just the kindness of different people inviting people into spaces. Very much how I'd say I'm invited here today. But I think it's something that the world needs more of. But it's really good to just take note of those times where you have been invited to someone else's place like that and to be really grateful and thankful for it.
That's the thing about 21st season. It's all about community a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're in it with the same,
Yeah.
more or less the same friends the whole time. You're seeing each other every week, multiple times on the weekend, getting obliterated, moving
Yeah.
on, having to work during the week, like all these different things. And it shows, like, and now that we don't do that, now that we aren't, forced to hang out all the time, right? We have to plan things and have things going on, right? Instead of just 21st, I'll see you then. It shows how much we took it for granted, that sense of community and that sense of just being able to know that I'm seeing you on the weekend and know that I'm seeing you, 3-4 weekends in a row,
Yeah.
right? And not have to think about it. So, and I guess that kind of like, that's the end of that era though. Like 21, like if you're doing a 3-year degree, 4-year degree,
Yeah.
that's kind of like your last year's uni, and then you're into work. And, like, we've been to a couple birthday parties this year, but no crazy ones. We're going at ours is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Creedence Clearwater Revival, little
excited for
band.
that, yeah.
It'll be a little brewery before. It'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
Dude, I wanted to talk about our trips that we've been on a little bit.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we've been on some sick trips.
We have
some
been.
bangers. And honestly, I say bangers not lightly. Because you and I have planned these trips.
Oh, yeah.
And we've essentially been the only one planning these trips. And they've just worked out amazing every time. We seem to hit the nail on the head. And I've got a specific question written down here. If you could relive one day of any of the trips that we've been on, which day would it be? And I know it's going to take some time, so think about
Yeah.
it. And there's no pressure on it, but
Yeah.
One
I mean,
day.
well, I think you can probably plug your sponsors, if that would-
bro, I wish I could pull out the products.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah, not yet. This is ad free right now. Unless Spotify and YouTube put ads on it anyway.
Yeah.
So people still have to listen to ads.
Yeah.
But at the moment we're ad free. I'm not gonna have ads for a long time, I don't think.
Yeah.
Like we
Good.
could like
Good.
we
Yeah,
gotta
yeah.
get the content library up first.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But we
Don't
only-
sell your soul out to the ad man. Come
Nah,
on,
no, not yet. Not yet.
Unless it's a good product you believe in. But I have come to my decision.
Okay.
I think something, and it's a thought I've had often, which is thinking about my future travels. I think traveling is beautiful. I think travel itself is both a mechanism to get away, but also like it's very much pursuit, but also escape in the same measure. And I've been thinking a lot what travels I want to do in the future. And I think eventually I get to an age where my travel, the purpose of it will be to explore and to find, or even have the prospect of seeing unique wildlife in different areas of the world. And something that kind of really spurred me on that was, I think, our day in Thailand where we got to see the elephants in a very ethical manner as well, which I think was the best part of it. And I think waking up, like I was pretty dusty that morning, like just long travels, like we were kind of in the middle of the trip. We'd had some quite intense days beforehand. And then just having it all washed away when they open these gates and 3 huge elephants are walking towards you. And elephants are everything that, like, you see online, and like you see videos of them, and such magnificent creatures. And there's very much a difference between seeing them in the zoo when there's like a fence between you, towards when you're holding its food and it's walking straight towards you and it's hungry. Like it knows you're there to feed them and he's walking straight to you. And I'm taking a couple of steps back being like, this is a very powerful creature, and it's very, like, you very much feel its presence. And that whole day was beautiful. I mean, we spent the day talking to the guides, speaking about their mission, speaking about how much they care about the animals, speaking about kind of the turmoil going on in those countries and people, places in Southeast Asia where very much they are hunted, and it's really, really quite sad, but to speak to someone who's devoted their life to the care of such an animal and to that mission, and to be welcomed in that, and to also have fun, washing the elephants with mud, taking them, walking them to a waterfall, scrubbing them, washing them, swimming with them was just beautiful. Feeding them. It was a really, really beautiful day. I'm not really too sure what else happened that day. I think we would have had a nice dinner or something, but I think that little experience in and of itself merits that just being my favorite day that we've traveled.
Yeah, that is a beautiful memory. That, especially, we went there. It's as you said, it's so that elephant sanctuary that we went to is so sustainable. They look after the elephants so well, and you could tell that the keepers were just so invested in this project. And it's not always like that, as you said.
Yeah.
In a lot of countries in Southeast Asia, they use these elephants for tourism. They ride them.
Yeah,
They treat
shocking.
them badly. They have them like parading on the road, like all these terrible things, when they're meant to be in their local habitat, eating local things, and just being by body of water, able to wash themselves. And it was amazing to be able to have that privilege going into their home and being able to experience and hang out with them. It was actually an awesome day and an underrated day at that.
I think so,
because,
yeah.
you know, because Chiang Mai was fantastic, and then going up to Pai was like
Yeah.
even better in some aspects because the rainforest up there was just so much more dense. But just an absolute privilege to see that sort of stuff. What other, you talked about wanting to see animals in your
Yeah.
travels. What are some bucket list animals for you?
Some bucket list animals. Funny you should mention the word bucket list. I have my bucket list in my pocket, in my wallet, and I take it with me everywhere I go to kind of keep mindful of my goals. But in terms of some bucket list animals, one that is on there is I want to swim with a great white shark. I want to go in the cage. I want to see that. Nothing can probably stop me from doing that. I will go do it. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But I think that would be insane. I know this morning I almost had a fright of my life. I thought I would have seen one. I was surfing this morning at Curl Curl, and straight underneath me, just something big black goes past, and I'm like, it's got to be a dolphin. It's got to be a dolphin. Come on. And then like a couple of meters later, after going underneath me, these huge pot of dolphins, like just breach, and it was beautiful. It was kind of scary because I was so close.
Boy.
And like I've seen them sometimes when the waves are coming, they'll ride the waves and jump up and down. And I was thinking I'll take a couple minutes not to catch a wave in case I don't want to cop a dolphin to the face. But because I've seen those videos and they look hectic.
They do look
But,
hectic. People getting bodied on a wave.
Exactly, yeah. But such magnificent creatures. But the shark, the great white shark especially, I think has to be there. I could place like South Africa, I'm not too sure, South Australia, something like that. It's up there. A tiger would be tough to see.
Oof. For sure.
What about a leopard? I know that's something that you tried to do recently.
I tried to see a snow leopard. A snow leopard, one of probably the rarest form of leopard you could try and find, and it's really, really difficult. I went recently in December. I was going and I went to Nepal and did Everest Base Camp with my brother.
Yep.
And we tried to see a snow leopard all 14, 15 days that we were in the region. And so this Saga, it's called Sagarmatha National Park, which is where Mount Everest is and the surrounding areas. And in that, it's 100-kilometer square kind of national park. In that 100-kilometer square, 3 snow leopards live there. So it was like, and we're only walking this little track all the way up, which is the most, populated with a lot of people and like villages along it. Whereas, and there's all this dense land that they could potentially be. It's almost impossible to see one, but I ain't gonna give up. I'm still young.
We have to try. Yeah,
I've only been once, and it's really the conditions out there are so tough to really get into a good spot to look.
Yeah.
Because you have to. The altitude wears you down so quickly. The cold wears you down even quicker. Because that's the thing. If you're just walking and you're just like going through the wilderness and you're trying to find this snow leopard, that's absolutely fine. But when you add in the fact that now your oxygen capacity is in half because the altitude, and it's like negative 20 degrees. That's when things can get pretty crazy because you're going and you've only walked 100 meters, but it feels like you've done a kilometer. And then you're like, okay, to get to a good vantage point where I can get my binoculars out, sit down, really take stock, I have to walk up this hill, and that hill's, I got to go a kilometer this way up there. And the terrain is so rough. Like you're climbing up everything. You got giant jackets on. Every water bottle that you're bringing is frozen solid by the time you get back. And as soon as that sun sets, it turns into like when we were there in winter, as soon as that sun sets, it's negative 40 degrees. And if you're out there past dark, you could die. So you have to be and there's no signal up there. You got a map, we had a compass, and that was it. And we had a couple knives because there are tigers up there too. And so, what are we going to do with some knives? But we gave us a little bit of comfort. And I think I would have wigged out if I saw a tiger too, because I want to see a tiger so bad. I'd be like, oh shit, we saw one. And then I'd be like, oh, I'm in big trouble right now. Because it would be like it's shock and awe. And then I would think about the consequences second, unfortunately. And then I'd be cooked because those tigers are so big. They're like I've had the privilege of seeing like African lions, and they're big. And in a pack, you're in like really, really big trouble. Even just one-on-one with a lion, you're obviously not going to make it out. But a tiger, it's almost a big tiger can almost be double the size. It's crazy, and they're so strong and so big, and like they got a different instinct about them. Like there's no way you get out of that situation alive. Like when you've come across a tiger, whereas snow leopard, you're safe. Like they really don't want to have anything to do with you, and that's why they're so hard to see. I think great white shark for me. I know they're like amazing creature, but considering like surfing, swimming, loving the ocean.
Yeah.
I don't want to know about that.
Yeah, I know
I
you
don't
don't
want to
know.
know.
Yeah, I know you
I
don't
don't
like
care
the
that
shark.
that's out
Yeah.
there, and I don't like because when that dolphin comes through, I don't want to think of that great white shark. I want to think about the dolphin I saw the other
Yeah.
week. But if I go see one up close, then it's so much more real. 'Cause I've never even seen a great white shark in real life.
Yeah.
I've only seen them on little TikTok clips and on YouTube and on the news or whatever. Right? I've never seen one in real life. So why would I have any reason to be scared? But if I go down to South Africa and see one in the flesh, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's my reason to be scared. Look how big that thing is.
Yeah.
And it's the sharks. This about me. They're one of my only fears. Like I don't really have too many fears like sharks. Where
Yep.
they're just like I can't deal with them. I hate them. I really do. There's something about them in particular. Spiders, snakes, heights. None of that really gets to me the same way sharks do. Do you have anything like that? Like fears that get you?
Like, no. And like, it sounds corny and like totally left field. I would say, and I've always said, because like you get asked these questions a lot, I would say like my biggest fear would be regret. I'm not too sure if I have like an animal or like a thing that scares me too much. I think I hate crabs. I think if I could have a button to press and wipe out all little crabs on Earth, I don't know if it's because I was bit by one when I was really young. I would press that button immediately and get rid of them.
And Adam Senius would be no more.
I hate
mate.
them. I hate those animals. But they don't necessarily scare me though. Spiders, no.
Why do you hate them so much? And do you hate like all crustaceans?
I don't know. It's one of those things where
Like what
you
about
don't know.
lobster? What
It's
about
just
lobster?
in your
You
bones
like lobster?
and like lobster's awesome.
Shrimp?
They'd be
Like
yeah.
prawns and stuff?
Yeah, it is just
crabs.
I don't know why. The way they go sideways, their little pincers. I don't know, man. I don't know.
You
It's
just
one.
want to smush them.
Yeah, I don't even. I just.
You
don't
just don't
know.
wanna
I want
even
nothing.
see 'em.
I want nothing to do with them.
Right.
So maybe I'm a bit scared of them. But yeah, I would say that's the only thing that comes close from that realm. Otherwise, I guess heights apart from the natural fear that all humans would feel for it. I feel like I'm fine with like even skydiving didn't feel anything.
Yeah. Talk about that a little bit. You went skydiving. That's almost a year ago now. Hey.
Yeah, it was a really awesome experience. It was something that I'd wanted to do for a while. And one of my friends really wanted to do for a while. And it was something that you could easily just kick the can down the road and never really do. But I put my foot down for your birthday. We're going, mate. And we went and did it.
That's awesome.
And it was surreal. I mean, like, it's not something I thought about too much beforehand and till the drive down. And then I very
That's so
much,
funny.
like a couple breaks between conversations and it gets a bit silent and you're just kind of like,
Damn, this is really about to happen.
it is, and it's funny to see what you're like when you're scared. Sorry, I had done the I've obviously known myself quite well and been in some scary situations, and so I know how I react. But it's funny to see how a friend of yours react, and when you're sitting there and you've got a group of about 8 people getting on the plane, you get to see how they react. It's quite funny, and it's hilarious. I mean, when I get a bit nervous, I'm not a great talker or like a very like out there person speaking wise, but when I get a bit nervous, I kind of like to, just talk at like just about anything, like got the butterflies in my stomach, it gives me a bit of energy. So I really love to speak. And you just see other people who are just standing there, just like staring at the ground, and they're stressing.
Freezing up.
Yeah. But it was something going into that I was really excited to do. And I had my smile on my face the whole time. And as the plane's going up, I remember just being like, okay, like this doesn't feel too bad, like jumping out of here and it keeps going up and up. And you're like, okay, like I wonder when it's going to, I wonder when it's going to stop. But it was a really, really awesome feeling. Straight away you jump out, it felt awesome. Not really an inch of fear, more just straight adrenaline, straight enjoyment. I think one of the best moments was one of those things where you see it on the movies all the time when like the light goes green in the drop zone and like go, and you just rushed out. It is really fun. Something I thoroughly recommend a lot of people do. I think the best part of it was in our group, we had a family and it was this dad for his 55th birthday. And so he did it with his family.
That's
and
sick.
And yeah, coming down, he was like, I can't believe I waited 55 years to do that. Like, that was awesome. He was high-fiving, hugging his family. And it was just really, really awesome to see, like, people doing that. But, yeah, it was phenomenal. It's something that I'd thoroughly recommend. But in that sense, I know that skydiving was something I've always wanted to do and I didn't feel too scared about. But then on the contrary, I feel like bungee jumping is something that I'm not too close to going to anytime soon. But I know that's something you've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've bungee jumped in the Daintree rainforest actually, in Cairns. They've got an amazing bungee setup there,
Yeah.
and it's actually, even though that sounds super sketchy,
Yeah.
it's one of the safest in the whole world. I think it's something like 52 meters, which doesn't sound too crazy,
That's huge.
but when you're falling,
Yeah.
off a cliff 52 meters high, going towards rocks and water, it's different.
I mean, think about those diving platforms at the
Yeah.
aquatic centers. They're 10 meters tall and they're pretty tall when you
and
get
they
to the top
feel
of
tall.
them.
Yeah, when you're on top of them, you're like, oh, okay, this is real. This is serious. So yeah, I did that. One in my first year uni. I was there.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. I absolutely loved it. Again, same sort of like skydiving sort of experience. You know,
Yeah.
it's just an absolute joy and a privilege to be able to go do those things. And you kind of have to expose yourself to those
Yeah.
things a little bit, because there's going to be moments in your life where you are genuinely fearful. There's going to
Yeah.
be like situations that occur, and you sort of have to, prepare yourself for that. You have to
Yeah.
understand exactly how you were saying about, how do I react? How do I
Yeah.
feel? How do the people around me feel in these sort of situations? Am I, more extroverted, more introverted? Do I internalize these things? Do I externalize them and put them on other people? And it's good to understand that, because eventually you're going to face a moment like that in your life, and it's not going to be you paying someone to skydive, or going up and bungee jumping or doing something fun. It'll be something terrible, and you got to be ready for it. You got to kind of understand how you react to certain situations and certain emotions, and be able to control those and channel those into the right outcomes for you and your family.
Yeah. I think sometimes we're in danger of getting too comfortable. And I know skydiving and things like that are fun, but it's very good to put yourself outside that comfort zone, to feel like you're not in control sometimes, to feel like you're at odds with just everything and it's a bit of luck, you know how it's going to go, and to feel a bit fearful and a bit scared, because you're right. I mean, like, there'll be times coming up where we will need to kind of have a faith and a trust in yourself that you can get things done, and you don't know what it is yet. But I feel like any kind of opportunity or situation you expose yourself to, especially at a young age, especially at such a formative time that we're in now, can do no harm, really. And it's something that I think more people should do. And it's great. Like, whatever getting out of your comfort zone is to anyone. And there's always still more to go. There's always more limits to push in a nice sense.
No.
in a way, yeah.
Agreed. And there's so many, like, it's kind of like a ball. Like, you're not just pushing in one direction, you're
Yeah.
kind of expanding out.
Yeah.
And that's what's so good about being a balanced person, having a lot of facets and being multifaceted in the way that you can kind of expand out and learn new skills and get better at so many different things and meet new people in different spheres. It's awesome. It really is. One thing we talked about a lot about family, and one thing I wanted to talk about today is your mum has recently been coming with you to like rock concerts.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy events going on, and you've got a concert coming up with her like later in the year to go see one of your
I'm
favorite
so excited
artists,
for it.
right? Parcels, right?
Parcels, yeah.
Like, tell me about how did that even start? Does she like the music in the first place? How did this happen?
She loves the music. She loves it. I feel like I love music a lot. And so any downtime I have, if I'm brushing my teeth, if I'm making my bed or cleaning my room, I'll just put music on and I'll be listening to it. And I feel like obviously we're cut from the same cloth, but it is very funny seeing, I feel like we're getting to the age now where we're at a maturity where we're relating a lot more with our parents. And especially with my mother, I feel like there's someone who obviously she's my mother, and a relationship is very different and very beautiful. But I see her very much in some ways as a really, really close friend. And I have no doubt that if we're in the same age or whatever back then, we would have been the bestest of friends, because there are so many things that I find her hilarious, and our tastes are very similar. So I'll be playing some music and she'll be like, what's that? Like, give me a listen. And then next thing you know, I'll come home and she'll be cleaning and she'll be playing it. We're very cut from the same cloth in the sense that, I have an iPod that I listen to music on, and it is the original iPod.
It is.
So it doesn't have volume. It doesn't have skip. It is literally like a USB, and you plug in a special, like the older set of headphones, and you listen to music, and whatever song's on, whatever volumes it has, that's what you get. But she has a similar one of those that she uses for running. And so I'm always updating that for her and putting on new songs. And so she's always saying, well, what's on Triple J? What am I listening to? And I'll put on music for her. And she ends up loving it. And so some of the music we've been to recently, so Carumban and Hermanos Gutierrez concert, they're both musicians that she loves and she's been listening to a lot of. And I was just like, look, I love them as well. Let's go. I mean, it was such a great treat for you. It was very much a birthday present that I got for her going to this Parcels one. And she's very excited for it. I'm so excited for it. It is going to be really, really fun. And it is the best. It's the best time. It's such a great way and such a good environment to spend with someone like your mother. I think like music festivals, music gigs, places like that are just such beautiful places. And to invite some of your family in, especially your mother, relationship is sensational. So I can't wait for it. It's on the forecourt of the Opera House. So it's going to be beautiful in summer, in
Wow.
December. So the views are going to be outstanding. I'm really, really excited for it.
That does sound awesome. It's that's a beautiful way that you describe your relationship with your mom. It's like, it really is. And I think there's, I think there's a lot of pressure for it not to necessarily be a friendship,
Yeah.
to be like, because there's that classic like mum-son relationship.
Yeah.
And what you're saying kind of challenges that whole perspective. Having a friend, someone that you can really go to, someone that, as you said, if time was reversed and you were the same age, that you guys would really get along. And that is so special, because I don't think many people, I think people can relate to what you're saying in the sense of longing for it, or maybe they had it at a particular time with their mum, but most people are past that stage of their life, or they weren't able to maintain it, or maybe they never had it,
Yeah.
So it really is a blessing, and just a beautiful way that you describe it. Do you like, you and your dad also have a great relationship?
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And
We
your
are so
dad, your
funny.
dad is hilarious.
Yeah.
What's the equivalent, if your mum's coming to concerts with you, what's the equivalent, what's the fab equivalent to that?
God, well, it's funny. I mean, like, I recently, when I was traveling, I was writing a lot down and thinking a lot, and I was thinking about what I get from different people. Like, who am I to my friends, but also like, what do I get from a lot of people? What things do I take from them? And very much in my family, like my younger brother, my older sister, very much role models. Like, what do I get from them in terms of like, for example, like my brother's very inspirational for me. And so like I see like a lot of things that he does and it translates into my life. My sister's very creative. So a lot of the things that I do to try to be creative, I kind of get from her. And so very much like my mother, she has very much a very like zest for life. She's very humorous, like very active. And so I feel like I get a lot of those traits from her. Which blends itself to going to a concert with her and mucking around like that. My dad is hilarious, as you know. So bit of context, we both go to the same gym together that Ethan also goes to. And so he always sees my dad there, and they're very much always up for a yarn. I would say some of the best times, some of the best bondings I've had with my dad are always just one-on-one situations where we're put out into the open. So for example, going to sporting games, the best bit is always like the bus to and from, where there are randoms there. My dad's talking to a random about the game that's going to happen, and I'm there with him. We're discussing things and we're having fun. It's just sensational. I think one of the best memories I had from last year was I'm quite a devout West Tigers fan. So going to a West Tigers game with my dad at Leichhardt Oval, which is somewhere we always lived super, super close to, and we've been going for a long time. And so sharing that last year was fantastic. Obviously the Tigers won, but the best part of the evening was just to relax and just have a chat with dad and bond over sport. But I feel like very much recently we had a really nice birthday dinner. So for his birthday, the rest of our family was away. And so it was just me and him. And so we went out for a dinner, and kind of those little affairs where we can really sit down and have a really nice conversation is really, really interesting, because he challenges me a lot very intellectually, and it's very interesting to get challenged that way by someone who almost knows me as well as I do. I know he's seen a lot more of my life than I have, to be fair, in terms of how much I can remember. So he knows, and he would always see things in a different light. And so it's very interesting getting challenged in that sense. But some of those situations are always the best. Very much, I would say, getting like sporting situations with my father, but then also just around situations where we can just talk and sit down and observe something and comment on it is something I love.
I feel like, 99% of the conversations I have with my dad are like transactional.
Yeah.
Then just like one time you'll just sit down at the dinner table, and for some reason it's just you and him, and it's the deepest, best conversation that you've ever had. And then you guys just like pretend it didn't happen and just move on.
Yeah.
And I know like that's a special relationship. It's good and bad, but it shows that you guys connect. And I think sport really brings father and son relationships together in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Did your dad ever like coach you in soccer or get involved when you were younger in cricket or water polo or any of your interests? Or was it more, because it is so special going to the game with your dad, and he supported that team for so long, and now you're on the bandwagon too, like West Tigers. And for me, it's the AFL, supporting Collingwood my whole life. It's so special sitting down with your dad, yarning about the players, talking shit about this person, that person, the coach, the other team, whatever it is, and just being at a ground like the MCG or the SCG, and just, like sometimes 100,000 people there screaming fans. It really is a bonding experience. And me and my dad, our relationship was forged by that to some extent, for sure.
Yeah. I just wish he put me onto teams that actually did well. I mean, he passed on a lifetime of misery for me now. But no, 100%, always been there. And I feel like that's part of a parent. I mean, like they're always there for you. And so very much like school, sport, any walk of life, your father's there for you. And so I guess sport is just one example of that. And so, yeah, I think some of those, like, especially when you're young, like to and from games, those are some of the memories you really look back on. One of the things I'm super grateful for that my dad instilled in me, I'm curious, you would be aware how very good I am at directions when we're out anywhere.
So
I mean,
true.
like where we've stayed in Thailand, I could tell you how to get anywhere. Walking home, I just know always where I am.
Sixth sense.
Yeah, it is. It
Genuinely.
is my superpower, and I'm
really
happy to
is.
admit. But the reason is because to all sporting games back in the day, my dad would never put on the GPS, but he'd give me the Yellow Pages book, the street directory, and be like, direct me there. Like,
Sort yourself
like
out.
we're gonna arrive late if you don't like get this right. And so here we go. And so I'm flicking over the pages. You get to the end of the map, and on one page it goes to go to page like 22, and you're frantically typing, and you get there, and there's like you got to know like there's lights or what's the best way to go. And I think some of those things instilled in you at such a good like a young age. I'm very fortunate for, and it's something I owe to him. And so it's super, super lovely. I know recently, me, my phone just doesn't work. I refuse to replace it.
What do you
And
got, like an iPhone 6 or something like
it's
that?
the iPhone 7, yeah, the FE, yeah, and it's barely working. And the charge runs out so quickly that I was once driving to Sutherland and it ran out of me. So I had to grab the street directory, put it on my lap, driving
Wow.
and flicking the pages.
Old school.
Yeah, and which I'm super happy to be able to do, but that's something instilled in me from my father.
You would be one of the only people our age to be able to do that. Like, honestly, I could probably figure it out if I
Yeah.
knew sort of where I was, but most people don't have that skill, especially people out in our demographic.
Yeah.
They don't even know what you're talking about. Like without satellite navigation now, completely useless.
Yeah.
Right? I'd have to pull over and charge my phone just so I
Yeah.
can figure out where I'm going because I don't even have a directory in the car.
Mm.
Right? And I think it goes to show like technology moves so fast in those sort of ways because it's like
It does,
10
yeah.
years and it's completely it just the whole field has changed.
Don't vote,
right?
yeah.
One thing that you brought up is that little iPod that you have.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I've busted you with this so many times. Like I'll get on the bus and Leon,
Yeah.
like I'm like, what are you listening to? He brings out this tiny little like cube thing. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what is that? And you're like, man, it's got like 4 songs on
Yeah,
it
yeah,
on
yeah.
repeat, just bumping. And
Yeah,
fair enough, credit to you because it is cool and it is a bit of a relic. But like when it comes to you've kind of and as you said with your phone, you've got an older phone. Too.
Yeah.
You're like I know you personally, you're a bit resistant to like this technological change that's going on now.
Hmm.
With, so many advancements going on so quickly. But I also know that you work for a big company that
Yeah.
invests a lot in these technologies, and you have to deal with a lot of that for work too, and use those tools. Where do you see all this going, and how do you feel about it personally?
Well, I think personally, obviously I see it as the future, and it's something that very much I'm equipping myself for, and will need to, and am actively trying to do. But in terms of my personal life and my personal sphere, I feel like a philosophy that I tend to live out and I really believe in is to do more with less. I feel like I'm not a finder of things. I'm very much more a keeper and preserver of things. So very much friendships. And I mean, like a phone, I'd very much keep something I have and use it till it's on its last legs rather than go out and find something else or buy something else. I feel like I just don't really buy into that consumerism sense of it. I just don't really feel the need. If I have something that works, I'm fine to keep using it. But I mean, as you said, I mean, like there is definitely that scope where things are advancing at such a fast rate. It is tough. You don't want to be left behind. But I mean, it does give me so many niche perspectives by kind of dialing myself back from that realm. And it's not something I do purposefully. It's more just something that's just happened by way of events. I think.
Come naturally to you.
Yeah.
Like you haven't necessarily like you've never been a very like screen obsessed person. Like,
Yeah.
you don't or like very rarely do you even have headphones in at all. A lot
Yeah.
of the time when we first started working out together in second year uni,
Yeah.
you wouldn't wear headphones to the gym or listen to music for 2 years. You just go in
Yeah.
there for an hour and a half.
It was torture with
train.
the gym music on.
Yeah, and you would just have the gym
Yeah,
music
yeah.
on, and I was like, "What's going on?" But like, that's just how you are, and
Yeah.
like credit to you because so many people are too much into that world.
Yeah.
Too much in the digital and not enough in the physical. And being too much in the physical, not enough in the digital, is not a bad thing. As long as you don't need the digital to like like for work or to do whatever you need to do. If you can separate yourself from that and live purely in the physical world, that's probably the healthiest and best way to go for your mind, at least. Anyway.
Yeah. I think it should very much be viewed in the manner of which it serves, which is it should be a connection device. I mean, it shouldn't be the end, it should be the means. And I think too often it can be a bit of a disconnection device when you're talking to someone or they're just too plugged into it. But don't get me wrong. I mean, there's so many beautiful things and so many hobbies and things I've taken into my own life that I've got from online, and just from aimlessly scrolling or something like that can be really good. But I feel like there just always is a balance, and I feel like that's a balance in everything. It always come up. I feel like we always talk about it a lot, but it is finding that balance, and it's finding out what works with for you. And for me, I don't really need too much of it. It doesn't really interest me. I'm not too obsessed with what too many things are going on. I like to stay informed, but then again, I mean, being at the frontier of it and being able to see some of the cool stuff that is happening is both scary, but it's really interesting. I mean, we're living in an interesting age. We're on the precipice of just great technological advancements, and the time which we live will always be known about that. It's like we're living in the age where they just bronze is out and they just found this new silver thing, and you're like, you're gonna get on.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
The new era is here.
Exactly. Yeah, it's exciting.
It sort of feels like that a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like that technological like exponential curve.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like it kind of, it slowly plugs away for so long.
Yeah.
You know, and then eventually once we discover a few things like AI and like bioengineering and things
Yeah.
like that, all these like gene editing and CRISPR technology, all these things kind of happen at once and happen at scale.
Yeah.
And then we're just off to the races. And within, 30 years, the world looks unrecognizable. You know what I mean? And who knows if that's actually going to manifest into reality, or if that's just, like if that's just what the tech companies are selling us. But it really feels like, this AI thing is moving quicker than anything really has before. And the hype around it doesn't seem to be dying down. And it feels like all of it's kind of culminating at once. Like you've got so much going on in the crypto and blockchain world. You've got so much going on in the AI world. You've got so much going on in the biomedical engineering world. You've got so much going on in like building technology and infrastructure capabilities. All these things are kind of happening at once, and it's just driving this exponential curve that we're privileged enough to be experiencing.
Yeah,
because human history, like for the most part, living in those times would suck. Like if you travel back 500 years ago, it's not as fun as today. That's for sure. We're definitely not sitting here having this conversation on a podcast, and people at home are listening.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane and a blessing to be in this amazing time. We're able to, witness a world in so much chaos, but so much love at the same time.
Yeah. It's good to like see it through that lens still, with that capacity of love. I mean, like people throughout human history, I mean, there was a generation where some people saw the Wright brothers first fly, and then on their deathbed saw humans go to the moon, and they're like, what has happened? This is crazy. I mean, I hope that the people in charge and that are driving all the change, I hope they're the right people for the job and they still remember the reason for what it all is. But I'm very much curious to hear, what do you think of it all, and where do you see it going in your play? Sorry, I'm going to change my question here.
All right.
Because it is such a beautiful, you mentioned it is an awesome time to live, and it's a very interesting time to live. We're on this technological precipice. Do you think, is this one of your favorite time periods to live in? Do you feel like...
I am no time traveler.
Because I know...
But I hear what you're saying.
But I know for a fact that your musical taste is from a specific 5-year period. I'm interested to hear, like, would you consider yourself very much a child of this generation? Do you feel things where you feel like you kind of belong from a different generation?
I definitely, Leon's mentioning my love for like 60s and 70s music, whether that's soul music, rock music, funk music, all that type of stuff. I'm absolutely in love with, rhythm and blues, folk, everything. It's fantastic, that era. And not just music, but, just the culture. The culture and the movement that was kind of sweeping the West, I guess you could say at that time. And am I a child of that era? No, I can't possibly be. I am a child of this era just by my nature, right? And just by my nurture, really. I'm accustomed to the things that we do today, and with technology and the current system, and the blessings, and then the things that we don't have about that era that we have today. So I think I'm definitely here living in the now, and I just appreciate that culture. If I could go back, like, and and just like be born, I guess at the end of World War II, like 1950s age, and then be a teenager in the 60s, and then in my 20s in the 70s, would I do it? Probably not. Like, I don't think so. I don't think I would, because I feel, I know this sounds crazy, but I feel like destined and called to be where I am right now. You know what I mean? And I can't ignore that. And if I was to uproot that and move that, I feel like I would be leaving my purpose and my destiny behind, which is here and now, And so I think it's nice in theory to go back all those years too, but I think in practicality it wouldn't be as cool
Yeah.
as maybe living today. And I've been given such a good hand of cards,
Yeah.
you know, living where I am, having the network that I do, you know, just being blessed in so many ways. And I really feel called to be living in this moment in time right now, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to be anywhere else. I just want to be on my path. God has called me to be on this path, and I just feel
Yeah.
like I'm living out my destiny, you know.
Where do you see that destiny taking you?
I have no idea. That's
Yeah.
that's not for me to know.
Yeah.
It's I have goals and aspirations for sure, but I don't necessarily know where this is all leading or what he has in store for me. I can only do I only kind of see it through the actions that I have to undertake today.
Yeah.
You know, like I have to get after it and do these things today because I'm called to, and I'm called to work hard and have this set up. And even something like this show, like I feel sort of like called to do these episodes and to put this out
Yeah.
and to entertain people and to, you know, provide a platform to a lot of my friends and to have fun with it and to be creative. I feel like I'm kind of called to do it. I have a passion and a fire
Yeah.
to do it. And I think that's really cool. And that's where the best projects kind of come from. And that's where a lot of my passion comes from too.
Yeah, I feel like when I first met you, some things that was really a true testament to your character and something that I would really like to learn a bit more about, because it's something we haven't really discussed too much because I didn't really know you at this time. But when I first met you, you were very much in a similar world of exploring your passions, which is still very much linked to this podcast. But at the time, you were doing stand-up comedy and you were very much within that realm in Sydney, going around doing different stand-up gigs. And I'm very curious as to how you fell into that.
Dude, I think I just fell into it because I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, I just was a big fan of stand-up comedy for so many years. And I've always been good at public speaking, and I've always been like a little bit funny. And so I think it's more the public speaking thing.
Yeah.
That's more important, you know, because you can kind of craft that funniness on the side and
Yeah.
you kind of, if you have a certain kind of confidence about, you know, this kind of charisma on stage, you can manufacture that. And that's what I was trying to do. You know, when I first got out of high school, I was like, I'm just going to do stand-up spots, as many as I can. The problem was I was doing it. We graduated at, you know, at the end of 2020 right into, and I'm like, all right, time to do stand up, and bam, COVID, lockdown, everything. So it was very hard to get spots. I was doing very like inconsistent open mics and things like that. Clubs were shutting down, and it still hasn't really recovered. Like I kind of stopped doing stand up, not because like I gave up or I wasn't doing well. I was getting better for sure. And like, you know, my first sets were garbage, but by the time I got up there for the 10th time, I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I'm holding a microphone. I know my material. I've got 5 minutes. Let's do this. Right. But it was just so tough to get spots. And it was, you know, it was inconsistent, and it was late nights too when you were out there, and the scene hasn't really recovered, and it's such a shame. And I really hope that this podcast kind of drives me back into that scene.
Yeah.
Because I really love stand-up comedy, and I still like write material, which is crazy. And I have a whole bunch of like sets and jokes like ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get back into it. But it's just it's really hard unless you have a social media presence. And maybe this podcast gives me that. Maybe I got to do a little bit more to discover that. But I think without that social media presence, it's almost impossible, because you're doing open mics at bars. Those people at bars, they're not going to remember you, even if you were funny for 5 minutes, right? But if you build a following online where people are able to follow your journey, they like your style, they like the way that you tell jokes and where you're going to be, all these different things, it makes it so much easier for people to follow along with your journey, you know? So hopefully this is, you know, the start of a few different things. Like this podcast, it's a great platform to be able to expand that circle that we were talking about before, all those, you know, 4 dimensions that we were talking about. So yeah. And stand-up comedy is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I think it's such stand-up comedy. So I feel like it's very much a strike when the iron's hot thing. When you're on a roll, you're selling out shows. I'm not too. You'd be more familiar with it than I am. But from the outside looking in, it very much looks like to get gigs, and you need to know people, and that word of mouth spreads. So it seems very hard, as you said, to do it without an online media presence. I feel like COVID wouldn't have helped. It's good to hear that it's still something that you'd like to do and still considering. I know like that COVID time was pretty tough, and a lot of people lost a lot of different things, but to lose that kind of outlet and to lose that capacity to do it, it's good to hear that it's still there. I'd very much be interested to see one of your comedy. I feel like knowing you for so long and having some of the conversations we've done, I feel like I've seen some Ethan Harry comedy sets. But like, I feel like it's a very different thing getting up on stage.
It really is.
This year was the first time I went and saw a stand-up comedy gig. I think it was at the Chippendale Hotel, and it's very, very interesting getting to see how different people approach it. It is very much an art form, I'd say. People approach it in different ways. There are some people who you see them, they just look funny. And like, I don't know, the way they talk, like it might not be about a very funny thing, but you're kind of, and you're not necessarily laughing at them, but it's just something about
Their
them.
vibe
It's just
makes
like,
you laugh.
It's
Exactly.
just funny. And there are some people who have the confidence and have the jokes, but for some reason it just doesn't land. And they just have the reading of the room off, or it seems too robotic. I know I saw one guy and he kept being like over and over, like the first time it worked, but he'd be like, that didn't land, let me whip out my phone. And he'd be like, yeah. And then just kept doing it.
He
You're
just
like,
kept,
I wonder if this is his first time up here. Like it kind of hurt. But it's interesting. I would have loved to see like what kind of comedian you were.
I feel like I'm the same sort of person on stage that I am off
Yeah.
the stage. It's just the material that kind of
Yeah.
shifts, and it's the same sort of jokes that that
Yeah.
I love telling. Like,
Yeah.
and it's kind of story based stuff. I love telling stories. Big reason why having this podcast is really important to me, because
Yeah.
the ability to share not just like knowledge and hobbies and things that I'm passionate about, but just to tell stories and to document some of the amazing things that we've had the privilege to
Yeah.
do together. Like that's why I wanted to talk about like the trips and seeing the elephants and all the amazing things that we've been able to go do. It's been such a blessing traveling the world with you, and especially planning it the way that we do and sorting it out. Like, like that Thailand trip that we did, that we had some amazing days on that trip. Like we talk about this all the time, like the ranking of like the best days and things like that. But that day in Koh Phi Phi when we did the hike off to the other side of the island to the abandoned resort, posted up on this pristine beach that night, Joey and I get in the Joey and I all get in the Muay Thai ring, have amazing fights. You end up going on and winning your fight by stoppage in the second round. Just an amazing day. And then we go out, party all night, have the best time, wake up midday next day. Angus is still passed out.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And, memories like that and having stories like that you can communicate and that kind of fill your soul. This is the currency of who we are, the memories and the value that we extract out of them. They're just, they keep you going. They really do. And that's why, as you said, travel's important. It's beautiful, but those long lasting memories that you can have with friends, that connections, it's unbeatable.
And exciting to think there's so many more stories to be written.
So many more. We're so young.
Exactly.
23. We'll be in Europe next year. I honestly can't wait. I know you've been planning this Europe trip for a long time, and you've been talking about doing a lot of Eastern European countries, which, these days, if you're an Australian, you don't go to the Eastern European countries. You go to Greece, you go to Italy, you do the little tours that they got to go on over there, and it's the classic like Australian, like Ibiza, little Spain, little Portugal, back into the UK, head home. But you're doing something not many people do, which is heading out into Eastern European countries and doing a lot of hikes, a lot of nature sort of things. Tell me about that. How did you kind of come to discover that?
I think the first time I went to Europe, I did hit a lot of the classical spots up. I mean, it's hard not to. I mean, you have to go to Rome. You have to see the Colosseum. And those things were spectacular. They were awesome. But that first trip was probably the biggest learning curve for me. It was a 2-month trip, and it was probably the kind of most learning I'd done through experiences in a 2-month period. I think I was coming off probably the hardest 4-6 months of my life, and then going into some of the 2 best months of my life. And so even that you learn a lot from, but I mean, going through it and being able to appreciate the unique perspective and appreciate all the things going on in there and being very observant was something very useful to me, and just learning so much about different cultures, different things to bring into my life, but also in the same way, like learning a lot more about myself in the process. And so I feel like I have a unique connection to Europe. It's where my family heritage is. It's probably the European way of life is something that I probably being raised in that kind of sense. I subscribe to, and I kind of feel a bit closer to home in. I mean, yeah, like walking through Italy, you're like seeing all the little like Italians on the side of the road, like playing like checkers and stuff. And it just like really felt like I was home almost. And I felt really comfortable. And so through that whole year experience, I learned so much that I was always excited to go back. And going back, I thought, okay, look, I've done all the places I've needed to see. Let's actually see where I want to go, and let's see what I want to do, and kind of let that guide the trip. And so I hope it's not being selfish, because I know a lot of my friends will be there at the same time. But I do agree that if I'm doing something that I really want to do, it could be contagious. But also knowing my friends, I know it's something that they'd be very much similar and want to do. And so I guess Eastern European that Eastern European area has kind of pulled me to it. I feel like it's a bit more of an adventure. I feel there's a lot more unknown, and I feel like that's really attractive for me right now. But it's something very much to look forward to. I know you're kind of in the same frame of mind of thinking where to go, and it's an exciting stage. I know that the best bit of Thailand was planning Thailand almost and seeing it pay off.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm wondering where your head is at, because it is very interesting and it's a very fun thing to look forward to.
I think you touched on it. Ideas like that are contagious. And
Yeah.
that's why the planning that we do for these trips is so good, because it's rooted in what you truly want to do.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, like what do people typically do? What would the boys like? Let's
Yeah.
try and cater to everyone. It's no, Leon has this idea. We're going to do this 3-day hike and stay in this village and then go to this waterfall and do this expedition, whatever it is, right? And you kind of sell the dream, you sell the mission, you sell the adventure, and those adventures are far better than a nice meal here, or like a good like day tour in this busy city. Like a real adventure where like maybe it's a big hike, or maybe it's just like a trek through like a rainforest to get to a certain lookout. Whatever it is, we always seem to run up those amazing missions that always have huge payoffs. They even like when things don't necessarily go our way, they're still so much fun.
Yeah.
Just because to be on a mission, to be with your friends, to be in like a bit of a band and going and doing something, that's what's really special. And I think we do that really well. Instead of just going, okay, today we're going to the Colosseum, then we're going to the Pantheon, then we'll go to this museum. Instead of that, it's kind of like, we bundle it really well and make it like a mission, make it really fun.
Yep. I'm very much excited for it. And I'm curious, do you think, and that trip aside, do you think there's perhaps a time, and is that the time when perhaps you might try traveling solo? Mate, try experiencing it for yourself.
Wow. Yes, because speak on this for a little bit too, because you traveled solo earlier this year for the first time. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And you came back and you were like, guys, traveling solo, freaking awesome. And I didn't even really consider it too much. I'd never thought that I'd be against traveling solo, but just the circumstances never really came up where I like would have, right? And if I was to go to Thailand and train Muay Thai for like a long period of time, which I've always considered doing, that would sort of be solo. Like no one would come with me from Sydney, but I'd be training in a gym with all these other guys, probably from Australia, probably from the US, UK, Thailand, all mixing together. So it's kind of, you're not really alone. But tell me about your experience. What did you like so much about traveling alone, being independent, being solo on the road? What did you like about it?
Well, I feel like in general, like holistically, I feel like traveling solo is something I'd recommend that everyone should do. And although it definitely might not be for everyone, I still think it's something that everyone should give a go. I think you learn so much from it. And just because of who you are, you shouldn't let like who you are stop like who you can be. So I never really thought it would be for me. I've always kind of been happy like being by myself, and I enjoy my time by myself, but traveling by yourself seemed very distant to me. And I kind of fell into it. I wanted to do I kind of had these goals and these activities and these places I wanted to go to, and it just didn't kind of line up with what my friends are doing. I know like we're all very different, like spending different time periods here and there, and everyone's quite busy, and so it's very hard to get on the same page with everyone, and it just wasn't working out. And I think I sat down for a bit and I was like, I should just guns away and just stick and do what I want to do. And throughout the whole time I learned so much. I think I just had so much fun, knowing that like you're not going to go and just like see a friend. You have that comfort zone immediately being put out, and like not even to be social. I feel like there were so many times where the most social times for me was when I was like, I need a break. Like I need to sit down and chill. And someone would be like, this guy's just sitting down and chill. Let me talk with it. I'm like, oh my God. But then like the best times would happen.
Yeah, you'd meet someone awesome, right?
Exactly. And there were just so many unknowns, and it felt like such an adventure. And I fully felt in control. If I wanted to do something, I could go do it. I was really the master of my own fate. And sometimes the logistics of traveling, or logistics of anything, like looking after people is something that I'm really passionate about, but like having to look after the concerns of others or make sure someone's having a good time, sometimes it can be burdensome. It can be a burden.
Yeah.
But really just having that freedom to go and do what you want, especially at this age, I felt like, I know you work the whole year and you're like, I don't want to just go and do something just because my friend's doing it. I want to go do something that I'm going to enjoy. And I was happy enough to take the risk to go try it by myself, and it paid off. It was really good. I learned a lot. I don't think I learned too much more about myself than I already knew,
Mhm.
but it was more just solidifying it and getting to really display it. And just really, really just having fun. I think the best bit about it was that it just opened up so many possibilities, and I could do whatever I wanted when I wanted to do it. And
Yeah.
it was just really, really fun. Something I've hearken on to all my friends about and thoroughly recommend. And I know like some people lend themselves to it more, but I think everyone should still give it a go.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Well, I'm definitely considering it
Yeah.
now because you're right. I never really even considered that, especially when we when we travel as a big
Yeah.
group of boys. You are catering to everyone in that sort of group. You need to, even just little things,
Yeah.
right? They they add up in your mind, and they don't make you have it's not really hurting your time there. It's not like you're
Yeah.
having less fun because of it, but it is a burden, as you said, that you have to think about, whether it's that person won't really like this event, or we can't go to that restaurant because this person doesn't really like that type of food. Just little things like that, and just being free of that, and just being, I'm my own person. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go do what I enjoy doing,
Yeah.
and just being free to be an individual. And as you said, like, in an experience where you didn't necessarily learn too much about yourself, but you were coming into your own and like filling out your character. What an amazing time to be a solo traveler in a great country like Indonesia, doing a lot of surfing, doing a lot of hiking, spending a lot of time in nature, meeting a lot of new people.
Yeah.
It's, it's the experience of a lifetime, especially right now. Like, this, between 20 and 25, like, that's solo traveler central, know? And I think my eyes have been open to that through you. You're you're one of the only people that I really know to have done something like that, and it's powerful. It really is.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Anytime.
It's great.
Anytime.
No, it's great. I've been fortunate enough to like know some friends who have done it, and they similarly like spurred me on. It was quite inspirational. But yeah, I think it's very much a time of our lives where everyone's feeling into their own, and so I just thought it was natural, and it just kind of felt like the right time to do it. I think right now I'm more realizing that my whole life, and I feel like a lot of ours, we've gone through school, gone through uni, and it's been very like, it's kind of like we haven't had to make too many big decisions.
It's been structured. and
Yeah, the
regimented.
structure.
We've been
Yeah.
kind of been. It's been hard, but we've been spoon fed and told what the next step in the process is and what to aim for.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've rarely let just the circumstances of time and the opportunities that come and just like taking it on and taking on those random opportunities that come. And that was just one that came up. And I thought that given the time and given how it came, it was just something at that time I needed to do. And so just being like very open and flexible to when something like an opportunity that comes along, just saying, yeah, and go and doing it. So
Do you think the next time you'll be able to solo travel is in Europe? Because I imagine like we'll all kind of go together, but I think there will be parts where like you're pretty passionate about this solo traveling. And I know that, a lot of those Eastern European countries, some of the boys might not be interested in going to at all. Do you think before that you will get a chance to go away, or maybe after that you've got a couple destinations in mind? What's the timeline?
it's interesting. Like I enjoyed solo traveling, and there wasn't a time on that trip where I felt like, oh, like I wish I had my friends here, or like I wish I wasn't solo traveling. A lot of it was, I wish my friends were here to share in this, because I know that they'd love it and they would love to be here. And so that was kind of a lot of the thoughts I had. And so I think if the opportunity comes up again, I'd have like no problem with doing it again. But I feel like a lot more of the things that I think will end up happening, I will be in opportunities to share it with people that I know will enjoy it. So I know in that time I'll be traveling with some family. So I think I very much could just share it with my brother or my sister, or with friends like you, and like just whoever is around, which I would be super open to doing. So I feel like it's very much seeing what happens, but I feel like there is such a beautiful like opportunities in just sharing some beautiful moments with the people you care about and the people you love. And so I feel like that didn't detract from my trip at all, but it made me acknowledge how beautiful those moments can be. And it's definitely something I'm looking forward to again. So yeah, I mean, like we've spoken about some of the best times we've had traveling in Thailand. I mean, like I know you haven't said yours, but I feel like we can get some of them. But I feel like they just always are just such beautiful moments. I feel like one of the best times I feel like I clicked with you was that sunset in Thailand. Just watching like the most outrageous sunset in Thailand, like no clouds in sight, just being at all with it and just having a really nice discussion. And it's things like that where just make traveling and friendship so special. And it's always just beautiful sharing sharing a moment with someone like that. And so they're definitely, sometimes you get distracted from that from solo traveling, but I feel like there'll be so much more opportunities in the future to do that again.
For sure.
And so that's just something I'm looking forward to again. So,
No, we have had some good sunsets in our
we
time.
have, yeah.
Fiji, Thailand, we like almost a great sunset every night. It felt
Yeah.
like. So, you know, like even in Jakarta, like even when we'd get out and get out and about and get out of the city, it was amazing
Yeah.
just being in Indo. So no, like we really, it is about having the balance between solo traveling and understanding yourself and, you know, being able to
Yeah.
explore a place freely, as well as being able to forge those moments with friends that last forever that we talk about now to this
Yeah.
day. You know, I think one of the like, you know, underrated moments
Yeah.
is like underrated trip full stop is the uni trip that we did to Jakarta. Like, even though we didn't necessarily have anything to do with planning it and the days were structured
Yeah.
and we were all in the same hotel and we didn't get to leave too much, we made our own fun. We were doing
Oh, yeah.
horse races in the room. We were playing cards. We were out on the town almost every night.
The bingo sheet.
Oh, the
Yeah.
bingo sheet. You know, just amazing memories. BIAC, like, and that is really the best part of BIAC. Not only the friendship, you know, circle that we all were given when we
Yep.
entered the program, but the opportunities to discover each other in those
Yep.
circumstances, right? Because it not only was it, you know, exposure to the people, but it was the right environment to develop amazing friendships, like camp that we had in first year and second year, like all those intensive like learning classes that we had to do together, group projects, Jakarta, the list goes on, right? And I think those experiences have forged us into such a great friend group, like
Yeah.
the BIAC friend group. It's truly special. It really is. And it's the best part of the program.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, well, it's an experience that I'm sure I'd speak for both of us. I don't think we would have done without being taken there through uni. I don't think I would have gone to Jakarta and spent 2 weeks there.
No way.
And some of the talks we had and some of the areas we're going to, like the anti-corruption office, like places like that, just super, super interesting. And it's just something that you'd never think of doing. And it's just where we were so grateful and lucky to do it. And also to do it with our friends and stay lighthearted and enjoy it was really, 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 really well. worth
No,
it.
like we had so much fun that you know that like, you know, charity aspect of it, you know, we almost forget about how
Yeah.
amazing it was to go in those communities where they didn't have you know, like electronic banking and set them up with cards, with payment systems, and be able to help their local businesses because they're just, you know, using on a cash basis, and they're not able to keep records, they're not able to run the business sustainably. Some people only have cards, some people only have cash, and setting them up the way that we did allowed them to be able to take both and to run their business the best way possible, which was really important. Like, even though it was only a couple, like a small amount of these, you know, these businesses that we helped, that'll have a huge ripple impact. And it really is such a great program. And you know, they always talk about, I feel like every single year, it's like, oh, BIAC only going to Jakarta one last time,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
this year. I think Michelle's just like, you know, winding them up, trying to
Yeah.
get them excited. Like, this is the one last time.
Yeah.
But they keep going one last time. But I hope they keep the program going solid. You know, I really think it's an important part of not just BIAC, but the whole uni experience in general.
Yeah.
And, you know, doing things like that is so important. You know, volunteering days, whether they be at work, you know, like there's great charity days that you know, corporate companies do now
Yeah.
that really give to great organizations and get you involved in things that are bigger than you. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
Like, I think this is an absolutely fascinating conversation, and we could spend the rest of the podcast talking
Yeah.
about this. This is one of the things that I admire about you, probably more than anything else. And I've never even really told you about it. The work that you've done for Vinnie's Society within UTS, so like, you know, from UTS, but then expanding out bigger than that. You were the head of the society for
Yeah.
you know, for your whole time at uni, right? You started this thing from the ground up with a few of your mates, and you know, made a real impact in the city of Sydney. How did you get started? Where did that come from within you? And tell me a bit about that.
Yeah, I think I've always had a keen sense of social justice. I feel like I can never really see. I feel I'm very much like a very emotional person, and stuff gets to me pretty easily. And so when I see people having a hard time and you see the hardships people endure, it's very tough for me to shoulder, especially considering the amount of like luck and the amount of blessings that we've had growing up. And it's just being like, by comparison, so easy. And so I've always felt a need to volunteer and do whatever I can to give back or to offer anything of what I have, whether it be time, anything, just to give back and help others. Very much a faith thing, but also very much a person thing. I just think it's who I am. And I think it is probably one of the things I am most proud of. I would say it's definitely the thing I'm most proud of I've ever done. I don't think graduating university or graduating school carries with it any weight of equal magnitude. And so it's something that I'm especially really proud of. And how it came up to be was, going on the bus to university one day, we went to UTS, and I was talking to a friend who went to Sydney Uni, and he was a second year, so he was telling me about like making sure you go to the O days and you see like what's happening. I mean, like it's so easy just to go through uni, and especially if you have good friends coming out of school, to just not take part in anything and just see what they're offering.
Yep.
And he was telling me how he was part of the Sydney Uni Vinny Society. And he was telling me what they do, and I was like, that sounds amazing. I always volunteered a bit in school, and so I thought, look, it'd be a great opportunity for me to continue volunteering and continue doing that and living a life, for others, and just something with a bit more means and substance to it. And I got there and they didn't have it. And I thought for a bit, and I thought, well, if they don't have it, like, why don't I make it? And so I went to one of my friends because I knew I wouldn't be able to do it alone. And someone who I knew I could trust, a close friend of mine, so I always knew it would be fun working with him. But and someone who I knew also shared pretty similar beliefs. And I remember the conversation I had with him about it, and straight away he was on board. And from that, we put in the hard yards, and we co-founded the society together, and it's been running ever since. And it's something that I still do, like once a month, and it is really, really awesome. I think it is always one of the best times of my week when I go there. So Wednesday evenings, and just speaking to the clients, getting to know them. I'm very friendly with them. Some of them are such great friends. I can't wait to go see them, know them by name and catch up and see how they're going. But equally, it is such a tough world. Sometimes you'll lose them, and there's people will pass that and it is very confronting. I know there are a lot of confronting situations that we've come across there. And sometimes it is very distressing, and it's hard to leave there, and you inevitably take it home with you. But it is all worthwhile, and it is something that I've enjoyed doing, and something more recently I've thought of as a potential career avenue, or just something that I'd love to keep doing. The reason being, the other day at work, we have a foundation area of our business, and they were hosting an event, which I was lucky enough to go into, and I was talking to one of the founders of a social enterprise they run there, and he was saying that he started the social enterprise with one of his friends from school. And that just seemed so beautiful. And they always knew they wanted to not change the world, but just make a small difference, whatever that might be, and help people out. And so throughout their whole life, they've been like best of mates and working together and working on this dream and just making the world a bit of a better place. And it was really inspirational, but it was just great to hear. And it's great reaffirming, because it's something that I love to do. And it's something that I think a lot of people deep down would like, but it's so hard to just get involved. But it definitely is something that I'm super proud of. It's something I'll continue doing.
No, I like what you said at the start when you said it doesn't matter about my ATAR or whether I graduated uni or what I go on to do in my career. This is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing that I've achieved in my life, setting this up. And I completely agree. It's one of those things I really look up to you for, and I'm inspired by. You talked about earlier, your brother and your sister and your friends inspiring you to do something. This is case study number one. It really is. It's not only an amazing passion project, you've shown commitment to something, it's the ability to give back to others, to recognize that so early on in the uni journey, and use I didn't join a single society in uni the whole time. I didn't even think about it, didn't consider it, right? But to step out of your comfort zone like that and to help people less fortunate than ourselves, it really is it's amazing. And at such a young age too. It takes people, so much perspective and so many years of experience to understand that giving back is how to heal yourself, right? And how to, to enjoy life more is to give as much of it away as you can. To breathe life into others is to bestow it upon yourself. And that is exactly what you're doing with this Vinny Society. And the fact that you're still involved, you're still driving change, it's an inspiration. It really is.
Yeah, it's very much just a passion piece. Very similar to this podcast, very similar to a lot of people doing it. It's just something that warms my heart, and it just brings me so much joy, and it's so fun to do. I don't see it as a job or like a commitment of any sorts. It is just pure enjoyment, and it is fantastic. I know I used to think it was selfish that I was getting so much out of it, when the whole point was to help others. But it is very that two-way street where I do get so much out of it. I see the world through a whole different perspective, build so much more empathy, but also very much appreciating the hardships and lives of others, and learning how to converse with people in different areas and different times. I mean, some of the conversations will have a very tough and very difficult, especially with a lot going on in the world. I know there was a time where after Russia had invaded Ukraine, probably a period 2 months afterwards, I was speaking to a client who had like was new to our service, and she was sharing how she just fled from Ukraine
Wow.
and had just come to Australia, and it was things like that that were just really, really eye-opening, and it really just makes events and makes statistics just real, and it was just extraordinary. It really was.
No, it is crazy how you see these things on the news,
Yeah.
but they never really affect your real life until they do, until the person's standing in front of you and you go, wow, this is a burden that real people in the real world have to bear. And, you know, exposing yourself to that and then, you know, being able to help them it is really inspirational. It's crazy. And I think, you know, so many people miss out on that opportunity in
Yeah.
life because they're so focused, you know, on themselves, on their career. And I think we've almost built a culture that is, you know, that rewards that, right?
Yeah.
Where like it's all about you and it's all about, you know, Instagram likes and how much money you make and how good you look in this
Yeah.
photo and all this garbage that doesn't really matter, when giving back is one of the ways that you can really fulfill yourself and fulfill your soul. And it's crazy to think that, you know, so many people, they struggle with, you know, like depression, anxiety, a lot of disorders, and, you know, instead of conserving energy for themselves, it's actually better to give it away.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the way to heal yourself, to you know, give yourself to others and be able to provide nourishment to yourself. And it's a crazy kind of paradox that you find yourself in, because when you're doing these, like, you know, these days, you're having so much fun and you're getting so much out of it that you almost question, like, hold on, is this to my benefit? Is this, you know, necessarily what we should, like, am I meant to be enjoying this as much as I am? You know, like, you feel bad. You're like, I'm having so much fun. I'm getting so much out of this, but I'm meant to be giving that to you, you know? And like, it's just it's a rewarding experience. You know, one of the most rewarding experiences you can have, giving your time, giving your money, giving your energy to a great cause and to people in need. It's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all an experience. As you said, I think there's a David Attenborough quote that says, people don't care about something until they've experienced it. And so that's why I felt like being a volunteer and donating your time is so much more important than I feel like just donating your money. Just because, I mean, you experience it, and in experiencing that, you build that voice and you have that, like, you can just share it with others. I mean, it becomes so contagious, word of mouth, but also you're building a culture of just doing better for others and humanity and furthering that collective goal. And I think that's a step that I hope all people will take. And I think some of the hardest things, and one of the biggest, like, welcome to reality, and the biggest reality check for me in this process was believing in it so much with me and my friend who is a co-founder, and working very hard to get it up and running and trying to, like, recruit people to help join us, and just struggling with it just because people just didn't share the same vision that we had, or just blatantly didn't care or didn't have the time. And it's something that you can't help but not take personally, but it's something that you sometimes just feel like depressed and sad about, given because you just extrapolate and you take it to the worst and say, like, this is just what, like, everyone thinks. It's like, it paints a pretty bleak view all of a sudden. But then you go out and you experience it and you have some nice conversations and you realize that so many people actually do care, like, similar to what we're talking about now. And even us talking about it, so many people do care about it, and it is so enlightening and it's so livening that you can't help but not be happy, and you can't help but not be joyous when you're there doing it.
No, I completely agree. And it's not just the change that you're making to those that you're helping out. It's the change that you're inspiring in others. And it's just a ripple effect. You know, you inspire change in me through your actions, and I help someone, and that change inspires them to help somebody else. And it creates a culture and a community of helping people and, you know, living for each other instead of living for yourself, which is what it's all about. It really is. We have a big event coming up this weekend, BAC Ball.
Yeah, we
it's
do.
It's a ball that we have every year with, you know, everyone from our uni course and our year group, and we've continued it on past the scheduled tradition, but here we are in our 5th year. Like, how important is it for you to stay connected with people in uni, people from school, people that you've known for long periods of time, and still have a great network around you? And what are some of your predictions for BAC Ball this weekend?
I think probably the most valuable thing I have in my life are my friends and my, like, close inner but also outer circle. I just think I count lucky stars. I am so fortunate for that, and I think it's something that means the world to me. And so, especially in our university group, there's so many people there who I might not sadly have the time to see enough of, but I really do love their company and I get so much from them and I respect them so much. And just being friendly with them and being like known to them is just such a great source of joy, and it's something I love. So I hope it continues. What are my predictions? I reckon I'm going to have a pretty good time. The predictions are tough. What do you think? I need some time to think.
Okay. Well, like, do you think there's typically for BAC ball, there's always something that's gone. History implies that somebody's, passing out midnight areas.
Someone has to pay the bill.
Exactly. The price of admission must be paid.
Yeah.
And so, one would take guesses on who that might be. Some might say, what happens after ball? Do we kick on? Do we end up at Noah's house? How do prees go? There's a lot of different directions you could take a prediction, but I think overall it's going to be a really good time, and I'm really excited to see everyone. Do you know if Colleen's coming?
I don't know.
If she shows up, I'd be really hyped.
I hope she is. I think it's something
I'm
that
to see so many people.
Yeah, it's something I might ask as well, because then, if not, I think it's an interesting conversation. But one of our friends, Colleen, is leaving soon to go and start life as a religious sister, which is super exciting. But that time is like very much near that she's saying goodbye to family and all that such. So it makes sense that she wouldn't be able to come celebrate with us and say goodbye, which is super understandable. I hope that she is, so we can say goodbye in person.
Agreed.
When I said goodbye to her last, I kind of acted as though it was our last time seeing her. So I might shoot her a text and ask if she's coming or not. And if not, to say another thank you, goodbye. I hope that's if I could like wishfully think anything and manifest it into existence, I think like my bet for the night is Colleen's going to be there and it's going to be lovely.
That's a really good prediction.
Yeah.
She really is. She's amazing.
Yeah.
She really is a light in the BAC family. And that says a lot because there's so many bright personalities in there. And, her making such a big shift in her life and moving over to the States is so awesome for her. And it's so her, just like you were talking about your mates first, how it just represented him.
Yeah.
What she's doing in her life, it just represents her. Yeah. And it's so good to see someone chasing their dreams and following their heart and what they feel called to do.
Yeah.
It feels so rare these days. Like people are just, they kind of like just submit to like whatever path they're on. But she's like, nah, this isn't for me. She's taken a stand and she's doing something else and she's doing something about it. And man, when we had a conversation about her and when she told us this is what she was doing, there's a certain passion and a fire that just comes out of her that you just love to see. And it inspires you to make change within yourself and to figure out what gets you going the same way that gets, like Colleen on fire for what she's about to go do. So, it would be an absolute blessing to see her before she goes again. But again, as you said, absolutely understandable if you don't see her. And that is a good prediction. Seeing Colleen at ball make my day. But there's so many good people that I want to see. Eva and Sarah, I know you see them all the time because they work with you, but great people who I don't see enough. And, it's just great to be around BX. Great to be a part of the family, Anyway, that's all we've got time for today.
Yeah.
Leon, it's been an absolute privilege to have you on the show.
Yeah.
You're the GOAT. And I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for having me.